what are you most excited about right now?
Hands down, it's the wave that's coming with artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
full stop. Out of everything I do, everything I love, I mean, I truly believe that last November, when OpenAI delivered ChatGPT at our front door, they revealed the next gold rush.
Mhm.
And those that are sitting and waiting and thinking about it are missing the opportunity to grab a pickaxe and just fucking go for it.
Mhm.
That's exactly what I'm doing. Is I'm going for it. I'm implementing it into every piece of my life. I have a healthy obsession with it, is the way that I like to explain that to myself, where I spend time between other tasks,
Mhm.
going down rabbit holes on Reddit, jumping into Discords and reading about it, trying it, using it. In fact, at my mastermind about a month ago, I put together a main stage session to kick off the entire event. And I presented to the entire group. I was like, we're going to build a business in front of your eyes, one prompt at a time. And I'm going to show you how powerful this is to give you zero excuses to just hit go from this point forward. And I'm happy to share that with your whole community or anything. We post it all live on YouTube. It's all public information. But every day it's something fun and new.
Hey there. Good to be with you, everybody. It's happy Thursday. We've got an incredible guest today here, Jim Carter. He's waiting there. I see Jim on screen. What up, Jim? I'm excited to be talking to you.
I'm here.
You're here. Amazing, man. It's good to see you, brother.
You too, my man.
I'm excited for the topic today. You are someone who knows a ton about a ton of things.
Well, thank you.
So
I appreciate that's a great way to start it.
Isn't it? So Jim and I met at a mastermind that we're both part of back in January and really connected. So you've done like startup entrepreneurship, you've done SEO for a long time, email marketing, text marketing. You're also on top of AI, and you and your business partner have taught me a crap ton about credit and debt financing, that kind of stuff. That's kind of how we connected.
Yeah, there's a lot there. And we're not going to talk about all of that at once and overwhelm every single person on here. But wherever the conversation goes, I'm happy to take it. You know, I don't know how much backstory maybe would be helpful here, but first of all, I grew up in service. I'm an Eagle Scout. And I just loved what that did for me growing up. Gave me time in the outdoors, got me really time to reflect, think about what I wanted to do in life. And I grew up in service of trying to think about how I could add value to other people. It was one of those core principles. And that really just stuck with me. And what I've done professionally is really just my favorite reflection of that. I've been a software engineer for over 2 decades. I finally hung that hat up and stepped into more of a leadership role. And I've found, you know, I can serve so many more people by not being one engineer doing one thing. In this case, I can actually lead a team and teach, and I can share my ethos behind it. And that's where we're at today. And that's why we met at the Founders Mastermind, which was a lot of fun. And what I do now is just teach creative technology. And I love, like right now I'm riding the AI wave. I just posted a reel today about, I think I cracked the code on photorealistic AI image generation, and I just like built some portraits and just sharing the prompt and, you know, getting it out there. And I love finding ways that we can use technology to better our life and our business. And I've experimented with a lot of different content types and channels with it. SEO is one of my passions, and I've done that for over a decade. And yeah, here to serve, here to, if I can answer questions, if we can dive into a topic, I just want to add as much value as I can to your crew.
Sweet. I love it, Jim. It's going to be really exciting. So before we dive into all of that, I just want to bring everybody up to speed. So funny story is, like, this week kind of came full circle on when we met, Jim. So when you and I met, I just had this $100,000 tax bill, and then a few days later, my finance team came back and said, actually, it's minus $165,000. I'm like, this is going downhill really fucking quickly. And so I was terrified. I was panicking. And by the time we met, I just had I don't know if I told you that story, actually, Jim.
You mentioned it a little bit at lunch that there was a precedent of quick money needed to be made.
So yeah, so what happened was actually that I woke up in a panic like 5 mornings in a row at 4:30, and for the record, that's not my normal get out of bed time. Like being someone who deals with feelings and knows this, I'm like, okay, 4:30 while I'm in bed and trying to sleep is not the time to solve this problem. It's not the time to go all up in my head about it. It's the time to just feel the feeling of the panic and the fear. And I was trying my best to do that for 4 mornings in a row. And I wasn't really getting anywhere. Sometimes it can be tricky with these feelings, like actually really feeling, especially it's something that's been lodged, stuck for a long time. And it's like one of those deep layers that's just kind of been there. I think this is, for me, that sort of feeling is something that connects all the way back to my birth. So it's pretty. But then on that morning that we met on the Thursday, I finally broke through by going at a slightly different angle, which was, instead of just like, let me try to breathe into this and feel it and let go of my resistance to this feeling, let me ask what's underneath. And so I kept digging for what's underneath this feeling. And then under that first layer of fear and panic, which was kind of amorphous. It wasn't like strong fear. It was just like a little bit like hard to get to really feel, to really get. Underneath that was a layer of rage, not just anger, but rage, and then deep, intense grief. And so when I finally kind of broke through that layer, I felt like I was like, wow, okay. I was like, this is amazing. And then I kept digging. And then underneath that layer of rage and grief was my victim. And I was like, oh, like victim is something I've talked about for a long time, the drama triangle, all that stuff. But finally I could feel my victim in a much more tangible way than I was able to before. And I could really see that this whole thing is related to my victim around customer acquisition, which is related to my victim around just other people in general. I got, like you, I'm a software engineer. I got really good at programming because I was terrified of people, and I could control the computer and it wouldn't talk back. And if it didn't do what I wanted it to do, I could figure out why and tell it something different, right? Humans, they would beat me up and tease me and bully me and make me feel all kinds of weird things. And so I was like, fuck, I'm still kind of playing that game of sticking with what I can control here instead of like, going out and expanding and, bringing my services, my product and services to more new people. And then I kept digging. And so underneath the victim was a feeling of like, I don't matter. I have no worth, no value whatsoever. And that was gonna like super emotional, really like tears in my eyes for like a brief moment. And then it kind of dissipated. So that was the morning. And then I come down a little late because we had the show as a Thursday. And they come down to the room, and then I meet you and the other guys in that group. And we're just about to jump into this, like, what is my biggest challenge? And I had this moment of like, should I just make something up? Because this is fucking embarrassing that I can't manage my cash flow. I was like, no, this is my biggest challenge. Let me talk about it. And so that's what I did. You were super helpful. So what also happened at that mastermind event was I was talking to one of my friends who's also there. My friend was asking me, hey, can I ask for your help around like something feeling like feeling stuff? And that inspired me to go and make a talk about feelings for entrepreneurs and how to deal with feelings and how to deal with the shame and these embarrassing situations. And so this week on Monday morning, I was at Steve Sims' Speakeasy in Dallas. If you're familiar with Steve, speaking there and on the topic of feelings for entrepreneurs. And people were really moved by it, really impactful talk for everybody in the room. And then on Tuesday is one of the founders of High Level is there and talking. And he's talking all about High Level. And they're a CRM, they're a competitor of ours, right? Like, so And then everybody in the room was like, oh, this sounds amazing. I wouldn't use the CRM. And you're like, I need to talk to my team right now and get them all to switch this to a high level. And I'm like, I felt like such a fucking idiot, because I'm like, here I am just talking about feelings and not talking about my product and not, shipping any, like trying to pitch anything. I just want to help people get over that shame, actually talk about feelings, because we all have them and people never freaking talk about them in these environments. And so, but like everybody switches to my competitor now because he's there talking about it. And so I was like, felt like a bit of an idiot. But then someone else came up and she was doing a hot seat, and she had this deep shame around her credit score was low and she was in debt and all these things. And she was supposed to be someone who had all her finances and stuff under control. And she said after that, the only reason, and she's been having this shame around this and this like weight around her neck for years. And she said the only reason she had the courage to come up and share was because I had been up there and been vulnerable the day before. And so for me, that was like the coming home moment of like, yes, this is 1,000% worth it, right? It's totally worth it to go to share this. And like, I could have been a little bit more, hey, I do this CRM and this is what it's called. And like, if you're looking for a CRM, let's definitely use that. But it felt really, really good to know that I had that impact on someone else. And she was like, I talked to her after, she was like, oh my God, like I feel so much lighter. I feel so much better. I feel so much more, like it's amazing how much better I feel. And if I had known that you did a CRM, I'd rather like, I'd much rather use yours now. And I didn't catch the name. And like, so it was a good lesson. So yeah, it was funny to me that like this whole thing that you were a part of and that you were extremely helpful with, that ended up coming full circle. And I really think this whole thing of like, just revealing our challenges and our feelings can be such a great help for each other. Because again, we all have them, but mostly we don't talk about them. We want to present that, that winning image or whatever, that we're always in top, right?
Of course, Calvin. I mean, I couldn't agree more. This is the reason entrepreneurship's lonely. Let's just be honest with ourselves. Like, I'm going to guess that most people who are going to be listening to this are entrepreneurs, right? And when you start out, not everybody just has the cash to start out and hire a massive team and jump right in and has zero cash flow. Like, everybody is building something that has never been done before, or they're doing it different. And that comes with its own challenges. I mean, I'll share the vulnerability with you right here live as well. Like, I'm in cash flow crunches as well. I fundamentally pivoted my company from being a custom development and creative agency to now focusing more on content. And we still do offer some custom work, but it's a little bit more rare. And that comes with its challenges. We have never been more prepared to really blow it out of the water and to help everybody, but sales are low right now. And we're in, I don't care what anybody says, we're in the middle of a recession in the United States. It's also hitting Canada. It's affecting everybody globally. And I am a big believer, from what one of my mentors, actually, the way that he presented it, he got me thinking about it, is that I truly believe that Main Street bounces back 6 months after Wall Street. And what's happening now? The bounce back has started. Like, we're almost out of crypto winter. Like, I'm finally not at a massive multi-5-figure loss on my crypto investments and Web3 stuff. I'm like close to actually breaking that edge. And we're starting to see things turn around, but that means that we need Main Street to get their shit together and actually want to reinvest and to do things and to take advantage of opportunities. You and I met in a high-priced mastermind. That means we're willing to do it, but not everybody's willing to do that. And you get this kind of connection when you break out and you open up and you share the things that you want to share. And that's where I'm at right now. And I've actually got a mastermind I'm part of 2 weeks from now. And I was thinking about, well, how do I take advantage of this group? And not in a shitty way, in a wonderful way. Like, how do I take full advantage of being here in this week? And I'm not going to get up there and talk about this is all the cool shit I'm doing and you all should be really proud of me. I'm going to get up and say, I've got a 7-figure business. This is what I love to do. This is my focuses. And I'm struggling with this right now. This is how I need help. Because if you don't proclaim how you need help, how the hell do you expect anybody to help you? And that's why when you said that at our lunch table, you know how everybody just like set their forks down. They were like, dude, what do you need? Like, we just met. Like, we're all eating over, we're all bonding over tacos or whatever it was lunch that day. But like, as humans, we have this fundamental need to want to help others. But when entrepreneurs are in one single spot, we get those challenges, and that immediately bonded you with everybody at that table. And I don't know if you remember, but every other conversation stopped, and every single person at that table was focused on helping you because we knew you needed it. And that's all it takes. But that's why you choose the path of entrepreneurship, is you know it's going to be hard, and you're not looking for sympathy. You're just looking for others who understand that you're on that journey with them. And I'm on it with you, man. And that's why when you invited me to come on, I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. And because we all need the support. We all need to know we're not alone. We all need to know that we're not unique. Like you can have unique gifts. You can be experienced and, special in a way that maybe somebody else isn't, but we all face similar challenges. And that's why I have a mastermind to help early stage entrepreneurs. And I don't tell them that I'm this massive, huge success. I tell them I'm either 2 years or 2 steps ahead of you. Pick one, because it's probably not both. And if I can just help you get to that point a little bit quicker, my job is done. And here we are, and this is why we teach what we know.
That's great, man. Yeah, one of my mentors said, like the way he framed it is, when you ask someone for help, you're giving them purpose. Right? You're giving them.
I've heard that too. And I love that phrase.
Right. Like that, people love being of service, love being able to help. So, and it's hard. I mean, even this show, right? It's like, it's a Q&A. Now there's like not a ton of people today, but generally, like, we're here to answer people's questions, but we rarely get questions because it's actually really hard for people to ask good questions. I'm meeting Gary Vaynerchuk here later today, and I have like 5 minutes to talk to him. And I'm like,
fantastic.
What question do I ask him? Right? Like 5 minutes, like, let's go. Right. What is it? Dude, I had a meeting with him some years ago. I went by, so we had dinner on the Upper East Side in 2010. So I've known him since then, but then seeing him occasionally. And then at one point I just walked by the office and then got on his calendar for like a few weeks later or something. And I had like 7 minutes on his calendar. It's
7 coveted minutes. Yeah.
Exactly.
Let me ask you this question. I love Gary. I'm not going to say we're best friends or anything like that, but I've worked with him as well. What I love about him, and I want to see if you have the same impression, is he is consistent in everything he does, whether it's being on a Zoom call, whether it's shaking his hand and meeting him in person, or whether it's his content. And do you feel that too? Like, he doesn't put on a show when he posts to Instagram.
Totally.
Like, he's the same human.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. That's what I love about the guy.
That's the only way that you can make it work. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite part. We both support Pencils of Promise, based out of New York City. In fact, my family, we have a school in Ghana. That's the picture behind me with some kids jumping here, which we're really proud of. But I've supported them for years, and we've helped pop a bend to the field a couple times. And I met Gary at some of our galas. He's on the board of directors there, so he's been great. And then he hosted during the pandemic, we had a virtual gala, and he hosted it live. So we had some planning meetings and stuff like that. And dude's great. And I agree with you. What questions you can ask him? I'm curious. Have you decided yet?
What do you think I should talk to him about?
Oh, geez. I have no idea. Yeah, I have no idea.
Well, I have a book coming out. So, You Are the Product launches in May. And so he's obviously like had a few successful books. So that was one angle.
I like that. Yeah, talking about books. That'd be a good one.
Yeah. If anybody else has suggestions, let me know here in the chat, and we can see that. But I still have like an hour or something to figure it out.
You can be great, man. It's always whatever's on your heart, right? I mean, and honestly, if the biggest thing on your heart right now is getting over the feeling. I mean, I'm sure he's been through that. That would probably be a question that,
right?
I would love to hear what he would think about that.
Because I know that like Elon Musk famously has gone through several situations where he almost ran out of cash, and people like had to be bailed out last minute by investors.
Yeah.
happened several times. I think he's definitely in a crunch right now after buying Twitter, right, which is losing.
Yeah, it's
ton of
still
money
losing money every day, right?
right. And then and Donald Trump also famously, there's a story of him walking through a homeless person on the street and saying, "Hey, this guy is worth $900 million more than I am right now."
Because he was so in debt. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right. So yeah, we're not alone. It's all. And the amazing thing too was, I don't know if I told you about that, but then what this open, you told me about pipe.com. You and RT talked about these like credit stacking and all these cool things. And so I started researching that, and now I forget if I told you, but they found this company that will lend us 2 million because we're a SaaS company, and based on our metrics and our numbers, they'll lend us up to 2 million. So that's that right there is a game changer, right? Like that, like, you know, 100K is good, but that's not going to really, like, that solves the immediate problem.
That's a series round without the convertible note or the debt.
Exactly, right. So then it's like, okay, 2 million we could invest in product and marketing and other things that would move the business forward.
Man, I love hearing that. I'm so happy for you, brother. It's great.
Yeah, no, it's super cool. And then I actually got a speaking gig out of it as well, because the guy who does that company, Founder Path, Nathan, he puts on an event here in New York in March, mid-month. So I'll be keynoting that event.
That's right. You connected me with him, and he's like, it's only SaaS, just because I'm more of a creative agency, if you will. Dude, that's great. Yeah. Look, see what the fruits of just asking for help. And you know, what is one of the most triggering things that we all just don't want to talk about? It's finances, right? Mm-hmm. Like I'm personally very leveraged in all the finances I do, because I put my money to work, you know, and as entrepreneurs, like we find the benefit when we put our highest self on the line, you know, because it forces us to show up. And that's what you're doing. You're putting your highest self out there to say, great, how do I turn this 2 into 10? And then how do I turn that 10 into 50? And how do I turn that 50 into 100? And that's all we can do is give it everything we got. So I'm really happy for you, man. I'm so glad that all worked out.
It did. And you know what? And we never like right now, it looks like we'll never actually hit negative at all. So like between some savings and some, like I started cutting some costs that we could cut. Between all of that plus extra revenue, we're fine. And I got a line of credit with the bank, so I have that for another day. I got a better, some better credit cards and all that stuff. So like a bunch of things, and we don't even have the cash crunch. So I mean, still not like.
Love it. You know, it's a great position to be in.
Yeah. Cool. So of all the things that you're, all the skills that you have, like what are you most excited about right now for like topics?
Hands down, it's the wave that's coming with artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Like
okay.
full stop. Out of everything I do, everything I love, I mean, I truly believe that last November, when OpenAI delivered ChatGPT at our front door, they revealed the next gold rush. Mm-hmm. And those that are sitting and waiting and thinking about it are missing the opportunity to grab a pickaxe and just fucking go for it. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I'm doing, is I'm going for it. I'm implementing it into every piece of my life. I have a healthy obsession with it, is the way that I like to explain that to myself, where I spend time between other tasks, going down rabbit holes on Reddit, jumping into Discords and reading about it, trying it, using it. In fact, at my mastermind about a month ago, I put together a main stage session to kick off the entire event. And I presented to the entire group. I was like, we're going to build a business in front of your eyes, one prompt at a time. And I'm going to show you how powerful this is to give you zero excuses to just hit go from this point forward. And I'm happy to share that with your whole community or anything. We post it all live on YouTube. It's all public information. But every day it's something fun and new. And I love finding ways to incorporate that into what we're doing in business.
So I was talking to someone yesterday or Monday, like who's been doing AI for years. And the way he phrased this is like, it's basically like in, infinite intelligence, quote unquote intelligence, but like it's this machine that's read every single book out there, process all the content that exists pretty much in the public domain. And you can ask it any question to help solve any problem that you have, right? It's like very broad. And then how do you see it?
It's that in theory. It's not there yet where it knows every single piece of information, but an output is only as good as its inputs. I think we can all agree with that. The fascinating thing about AI is now the output is a derivative of how good it can understand the inputs, and it'll give it to you in whatever way you want it. So there's a lot of layers of you're a developer, you get like layers of abstraction. To kind of explain that, for the team here, it's you have an output that you expect, but it can also come in different layers. It can come in different levels. It can be manipulated. It can be referenced. It can come however you want it, versus I go on Google and I type, how do I build a business? It's going to give you search engine results that are all algorithmically based, and you choose which one you want to pick. If I go into AI and I ask it how to do that, the output is almost unlimited. It's not limited by a single algorithm. Mm-hmm. The output is a layer of abstraction above what you want. So now you say, I want you to act like, talking to AI, I want you to act like a successful photographer. How do I build a business? It's going to give you an output related to photography. Mm-hmm. I want you to act as an marketer. How do I build a successful business? I want you to act as a software engineer. This is where you can see how this continues to grow. If you type that into Google, you're going to get the best ranking articles for how to build a business. And spoiler alert, they're going to be more generic. They're going to be about general business building. And then you'll get some ideas and listicles and stuff like that. That's great. That serves a purpose. That's what Google is there for. And 99,000 times out of 100,000 times, that's what you want. But now we have this ability to say, I want you to give me the answer exactly the way I want it. Don't apologize. Don't tell me you're a computer. Like just give me the answer. And you can train that algorithm, which that algorithm has its own base of understanding, to give you the output the way that you want it. And it's only getting better. And what I just said, we may be obsolete in a year, which is fascinating, right? Because as an engineer, you have an input, you have an output. And then you could do some fun stuff with it. You could build your own algorithms. I've done all that. But this is just at such another level that it's fascinating. So that's my hot take on it. And that's why I'm so into it, and why I'm really enjoying learning it and trying new things and finding ways that it can just serve me, life, business, and our clients as well. I'm finding ways to optimize my team's output by simply cutting out research time and saying, let's just get to that answer a little quicker. We're still going to verify. We're still going to process it. We're still going to provide original quality content. But I don't need one human to sit there and obsess over something that I can pay them a lot for. I'd rather re-resource their time and let them focus on more of the things that they love to do, and we can serve more clients at a lot faster rate. Those kind of ways are really what's exciting to me, and I love teaching that kind of stuff.
Anne has a question. Let's get Anne on. Let's hear it.
Yeah, I just was wondering, I loved your take. How does that practically look? Like in practicality, like you're going to go use AI in like practical steps. Like how does that look in your business? Because I think your take was great.
Yeah, thank you, Anne. Are you cool with workshopping a little bit of an answer here? Can I ask you some more refining questions? Yeah. Just tell me about your business. What do you do?
I help people, healers, helpers, creative leaders, find the right attraction blueprint for their business.
Nice. Okay. How do you do that tactically? If I hired you, what's an output that you would give me?
You mean like, how do I help them find their blueprint?
Yeah. Like, if I hired you right now, what's a deliverable you would give me? What goes into your process? Just very, very high level.
Yeah. You figure out what your business DNA is, which I mean like your directional natural action for your business, the life force that's already there that knows the way for you.
Okay. And then do you or somebody on your team put work into kind of putting all that together? Like, do you have a series of questions you ask me, you take the
Yes.
results, and then you kind of format it?
Yes.
Okay. Do you do any research around some of my answers to say like, okay, it falls within this range of something, or do you? I'm guessing the blueprint has some kind of a standard format, if you will.
Well, it's designed that you have the answers come from the inside out of your business versus like grabbing all these strategies and trying to stick it in your business. So it's more of a revealing that then directs the right actions and the right directions.
Okay. And how much of this is great, by the way, how much of what you come up with would you say is a little bit more standard practice, and how much of it is your own creative process? And there's no wrong answer to this. This is just so I can help really answer your question.
Most of it's my own process, but it's just getting the business to speak for its own life force and energy that it wants to become. And I have a different bunch of angles around that.
Okay. All right, great. So I have some ideas. Granted, we just spent 90 seconds kind of diving into this, but maybe for everybody else listening as well as you, and maybe find your answer in some ideas that I'll throw out here. Let's say whether or not this is true, maybe this is something you could do, that you have your own internal version of that DNA blueprint. And it says, my name is Jim. This is the things that he loves to do. This is where his heart's at. I'm obviously making things up. I'm just sure yours is better than what I'm coming up with in real time. Yeah. But let's say you've got pillars of his business. Let's say you've got content ideas. Let's say you've got weaknesses, strengths, things like that. And you just organize it on a Google Doc, as simple as that is. That's great that maybe you hand that over to me, but I'm going to come back and say, great, now how can I take advantage of this? Well, that's maybe where your creative process kicks in, and you say, great, well, because these are your weaknesses, I want you to focus here. Because these are your strengths, I want you to double down on this. You could take that blueprint as raw as a Google Doc form, and you could train AI. Let's just use ChatGPT, for example. It's as simple as typing the word learn, copying and pasting and putting that whole blueprint in there and saying, and it's going to repeat back everything that it just understood about me. So it's going to say, great, the client is Jim. This is his business. These are the weaknesses. These are the strengths. And now you've just trained a model to be able to spit back whatever you ask it. And the more information you give it, the better that training is going to get. So now you can say, these are some of the articles he's written. These are some of his passions. These are some of his clients. You can say, give me 5 actionable things that Jim can do. It knows me by name now. You're no longer saying I have to retrain it or anything. You can say, give me 5 actionable things that Jim can do to better his business. And based off of the training you gave it, it will give you an answer. And then you can say, give me 5 more. And then say, I like number 7. Write a business plan that talks about how much this would cost him, how long it would take, what the projections are, build me a recession-proof plan, explain the funding needed, and find your answers with 3 independent sources and give me a ranking from 0 to 10 of your confidence of how successful Jim will be when he accomplishes these things, that he's willing to do the work. You would be fascinated by what it would spit back out. And this is not something you can do in Google right now. Would you agree?
Correct.
Right. And this isn't something that you're going to want to hire somebody to do, because they're going to be like, are you kidding me? Like, you hired me to to be a research assistant or to put this together. So the possibilities, we thought the possibilities were endless with Google. The possibilities are fundamentally endless with AI. And that's why I'm so pumped about it, because that's the kind of advanced abilities that are there when you master the prompts and you understand the power of the prompts. And that's what I teach. That's what I taught, excuse me, at my session. And Calvin, if it's helpful, I could plug in the URL here. It's totally free. It's on YouTube. Anybody could watch it. Cool. I'll just type it out between sessions here. But the abilities that are there for you to be able to say, this is the way my brain's working, and this is how I want to support how I can serve somebody else. Just get me there a little quicker. Right? Like, you would come up with that already, because that's your genius, I'm assuming. But it can be as simple as, I need 5 ideas as a successful business owner about how to take advantage of money in a great way for my team in 2023, to you just spent 10 minutes training it about everything it needs to know. And then you say, give me some money ideas. And it's going to know everything that you need and it's going to apply it. Does that resonate a little bit with more of a practical way that maybe you could use it for what you're doing to help you just get your deliverable to your client a little bit faster?
I think, yeah, it does. Would need to probably scale it to like really practical next steps that I need to do, but it's only as good as the power of the prompts is really powerful to understand. So whatever direction, and I feel that's been really good, that what you've really defined here is that it can serve you, but it's only going to be as good as the power of the prompts,
right?
With breaking it down and getting somewhere faster.
Absolutely. And this isn't something that just comes to us naturally, right? Like I had to learn that myself. If you go on Google, this is really the same. I think this is the same way of kind of thinking about it. If you go on Google and you just say best cell phone, I mean, you're at the mercy of whatever the algorithm gives you in ads. It's basically what we're in with life. But when you start to really expand on that, like this is like the SEO life cycle. You go and you start something broad. Best cell phone. It's going to be like, okay, it's going to give you the big hitters. It's going to give you Android. It's going to do all this stuff, iPhone. And then you say best phone for business. Now it gets a little bit more deep. And then you go and you find, okay, actually, I really do want an iPhone. So you say newest iPhone model. And then now it's actually a little bit more tuned. And now it's up to Apple to have the right SEO to be able to hook you. And then you say best iPhone model for a business. And you see where this kind of goes. And then you get to like, where do I buy an iPhone, right? It's a little bit similar, but very different with AI because that open-endedness is there. And that's the coolest thing to me. So you can go to ChatGPT and say, what's the best phone? And it's going to give you an idea, based off of what it knows. But now all you have to say is, my name is Ann. This is what I do. This is how I do it. These are my needs. These are my strengths, weaknesses. I'm making stuff up, of course. And then you just say, what phone should I buy? And it will now understand everything about that you've trained it with, that seed of information. And you can trust it more than a raw search that may be biased by another company's algorithm. Does that make sense too?
Yeah,
so
it does.
This is why I say it's a layer of abstraction that it's hard for us to process, but when we actually see it tangibly done, it's fascinating. So yeah, if it's helpful, I just threw the link in there. The video is embedded right on that page. And if you want the slides, there's a quick little email thing. You can just drop it in there and I'll send you the slides. You can also just DM me and I can send you the PDF. Okay. But I love everything about this because it's such a new way to work with data. And it's a way to be able to serve the people that we love that much quicker.
Yeah, I appreciate so much because I just use Chat GPT to ask about business DNA, just to get a context of how accurate it'd be and describe like what would be, the 12 elements of the soul of someone's business. And I was astounded with how accurate it gave back.
That's great.
The alignment of my work. So now I feel like what you gave, it's like, okay, how do you start taking this and prompting it to go deeper? Yeah.
And again, the more you train it, the better it'll get. And you could train it on a per client basis. You could train it on a global basis. But that's wonderful that it knew what that meant. So that tells me that there's already studies about it. There's already things that are out there. It sounds like you're a specialist in taking that framework or that body of work and doing something with it. Think about if you were to come up with your own flavor of that. Like, have you had on your heart, like having your own version of this, or like a book that talks about your style of this that nobody else has ever done? Okay. So think ahead for me real quick. Let's say that you just called it something else. I don't know, what's a good DNA word? Is like helix, double helix. Maybe we call it like the business helix. I just came up with a new name for you, right? Maybe that's your new book name. I don't know. I don't need any credit for it. It's all you. Let's say that you launched the Helix blueprint. You asked it and it's like, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about because nobody uses this before. You have this unique opportunity now to explain what that is and to put your flag in the sand and say, this is what I'm known for. Now, the more long form articles you put out, you know, that's out in public information, that's great, but you can come up with your own flavor of it. And now that can be inspired. That can be turned into something else. Like there's just so many ways that we can process it. And that's where typically people say, yep, I'm done. I'm not even going to think that far. I've got stuff I've got to do. I've got kids. You know, I do have 2 kids. But you can do a lot with what's already out there. And it's a way of thinking about, all right, well, if I could find this on Google, how can I do more with it on my own terms? And, you know, moral of the story, don't copy and paste and just put that online or publish it or anything like that. Like that's danger zone. Like that's still, that we're not ready for that. But God, you guys, if this can get you 95% of the way there and give you 0 excuses to execute, what's stopping you? You know, and that's exactly where I'm at. Is every time I get stuck in business now, I'm training my brain to go there and I'm saying, can you just help me get that a little bit further? And almost every time I get further than I think. And it's fascinating. And the day, which is very soon, where it'll be inspired by your own personal bias, which sounds bad, but that's basically how Google knows what to present to you before you even search with it. The minute that AI can be inspired by things that mean something to you, now you're going to have that option to make it really custom. And it's going to know things about your family, and it's going to know your preferences, and, you know, hey, is this a better time if I do it later? And it's really going to get that intense very, very soon. And this is why, like, I just see the waves starting to come up. We're not even at a crest. Like in the law of early adoption, God, we are just so at the early adopters. It's wild. So every single person who can take advantage of this is just going to ride this wave and probably make a ton of money while they're at it.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Yeah, I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, very much so. Yes.
So for Simplero, Jim, you know, CRM, course platform, community, payments, where would you incorporate this?
It's a great question. I mean, generally speaking, I feel I haven't found a business model yet that I can't find a way where AI can help. So let's unpack it a little bit. First of all, let's just use ChatGPT as an example. Right now, it's going to give you text-based output. So Calvin, what are some ways that you're currently putting text-based output into the world, either as the owner of the company and how you communicate with your team, to
I was thinking
your
in terms
investors,
of,
to your customers, anything like just
not for
help me think about
the
that.
company, but for the product, right? How do we build it into the product? So the obvious things are people need to write emails, they need to write copy for landing pages, they need to come up with course curriculum, scripts for course lessons, that kind of stuff, right? Like, so
Gotcha.
A lot of content production.
Oh, I got plenty of ideas. Yeah. This is where it gets fun. And you're an engineer, so you're going to get this. Question. Inside of the platform, I'm guessing it knows a good amount about the business, right? It's got business name. It understands like the kind of content that's in there. If code were to scan the content of your customers, would it understand what they do? That, you know, they have a DNA blueprint like Anne, or they are a different type of coach like somebody else? Could you make sense of what your customers do by the content that's in your platform?
Sure.
Great.
Probably could, yeah.
So this is where it can get fun. What language is Simplero written in? What programming language?
Most of it is Rails, Ruby on Rails.
Okay, so you can load up a brand new ChatGPT session, and you can say, write me a spider in Rails that scans a JSON file that is in this format, and take all of the output and insert it into a database that has these columns. And it'll output a whole script that you can copy and paste and deploy. And then you can run that script and it will scan your entire customer database, and it'll fill up a database with exactly what you've got. So that's step one, is you've just replaced an engineering cycle with AI. That's that simple to even start just with that.
Yeah.
You can then take that and you can say, write me a script that outputs this in a story form, and it buckets it into different customer data And now you can take the output of that and you can train AI and say, okay, Anne's a customer and this is her business and these are the things she does. So now you've got a trained model based off of the data you already have, which your users provided, and you can have a new feature that rolls out that that AI can actually help you write that says, would you like us to write an email sequence for you about your business? And Anne can say, yes, I do. And it says, great, hold on while we process it. And it sends it off. And the prompt can be very, very detailed or as simple as you want. And it says, act as this business, and this is my product. These are the things that I want to do. This is what I want to sell. Leave a placeholder for a buy link. Put all this together. Add actionability. Make it urgent, and throw in a couple ideas for ways that they can save money. And it will output a 3-part email sequence or as many as you want. And now all she has to do is copy and paste that, put it into the system, and hit go. And that's if you wanted her to send the email. It could do that for ads. It could do that for courses. I mean, the link that I put in here for my presentation, I showed step-by-step prompts about how to build a course about building a personal branding course. Like you can copy and paste all that stuff and you can put it all together. So I don't know anybody who's got a system like yours, Calvin, that's implementing AI yet. You could be the first to market that basically says, well, not only are we going to be the platform for you, but we're going to help you build the content to be able to sell your course. It can go that crazy, or any flavor of it. So there's my first idea.
I want to bring on Eva Lotta here. What you got?
Yes. Hi.
Hi, Eva.
Hi. So I have a program for companies to build a company culture, and we have small animation movies that explains different strategies for certain, to make it easier. And I didn't like the voice that I got for the animation, so I spoke for myself, and it's no energy in it. So my question is, can you take the script, the line I said in Swedish, I'm from Sweden, and can this make like a virtual voice that sounds more energetic? Can you say that?
There are services that are absolutely working with voice and text and transcribing and all of those things. I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but you could use a service, for example, and take the written word in even your native Swedish language. And you could say, I want you to translate this. So OpenAI is the main service behind ChatGPT. Actually, just yesterday, they launched a new service called Whisper, which is their API, their developer-friendly way of being able to work with it. But they're doing now transcriptions and language translations at a fraction of the rate that anybody else is doing, which is just absolutely incredible. But you take that translation, and you could get a translation anywhere. You go to Rev or do anything like that. But there are new services where you can paste in, let's just say, a base of English, and you can say, I want you to translate this and speak it in a native foreign tongue. And you could translate it all that way. You could also take it a step further and take that and say, I want you to speak this in the form of Tony Robbins. I want you to speak this in the form of, pick a celebrity, pick a well-known name, pick a story writer, change it into what Stephen King would write, to be more of a horror type of movie. So you have all the tools available is really the short answer. The question is, how creative do you want to be able to do more with it? But those tools are there to be able to give you the output that you're desiring, and then try and iterate on it. And again, maybe even not get you 100% of the way there. I think some of them can. But if it just gets you 95% of the way there, you can be the creative and you can go in and put your own flair onto it.
Yeah, I understand that you can do it with new production, but can you change the ones I have, do you think?
So that's more of an evolving tech. There is a startup. And again, I'm sorry, I can't think of the name right now, but it's actually been floating around on Instagram and some memes. I'll see if I can find it just in another tab here while we're talking. I'll paste it in the chat
Yeah.
if I can find it for you.
I was
Eva,
just,
there's a new startup that it's taking the video and the audio, and it's a technology called overdubbing, but it could remove a word or change a word, but it's not only just changing the word, it's actually, it's pattern recognition on facial features. And it will actually change the way the mouth moves, or it'll open the eyes more to add more energy, or it'll add more depression by like closing the eyes and making you a little bit more sad. And it's fascinating to watch where that's at. I don't know if that's publicly available yet, but the technology is being built. So if you think of like think of a movie that you recently watched and you're like, wow, that has a feeling to it. You absolutely could change the whole feeling of that actor. If they said a wrong word, imagine the director doesn't have to do another retake. They just change it in post. So the tech is evolving so insanely rapidly. It's wild. So if it's not available today, that kind of thing is coming. It's absolutely coming.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. This is fascinating, Jim.
I know.
Yeah,
this is why I love it. And again, I am one opinion of many, and it's all evolving so rapidly. Like, again, I put the disclaimer, this could be obsolete, in a month, in a year, which is the cool thing about it.
I've played with it for a while, and I've seen, Roland Fraser did like a super deep dive and did some really incredible things there. And really quick, Calvin, I can see the potential.
My talk, the one that I put together, it was inspired by a lot of what he did. I used the same. Were you there when he did the Chat GPT one at Founders?
I was not there, but I was at.
Okay.
He gave the same one at Flight Club. I was there.
Okay, cool. So I took a lot of some similar ones that he put in there, and I merged everything together that I found on the web and some of my own prompts. And I used what he did about telling the story of two young men, the Wall Street Journal thing, and showed how you can build it into your business and do more with it. So that's what I love about this is it's all just this amalgamation of creativity right now and like what you want to do with it. So this is my take, this YouTube recording of what I put together with it too. And I just love the open-endedness and the creativity of it. Yeah, it's fascinating. So like you start operating at a different level. It's kind of like when I got my Tesla and start driving the full self-driving mode, right? You're not driving the car, you're telling the car how to drive the way you want it, right? It's like, it's one step removed from driving, and it's kind of the same here. It's one step removed from writing, from coming up with That's a great
content.
way of thinking about it.
Yeah. I personally, I can totally see the potential. I have yet to, but I haven't played that much with it, but I've yet to have that aha moment where I'm like, oh, this is actually something that's helpful. I've had like generate ideas for some titles and topics and shit, but they're all like generic and boring. So I'm like still looking for
and
my
that's what
aha
the prompt game will level you up on. Yeah. And that's something that Roland opened me up to, the way that he presented that. And again, if you rewatch the video, or if you end up watching mine, I love the way he took that Tale of Two Young Men story by the Wall Street Journal, and he showed the traversal of written word. And I took it a step further and I expanded on it, and I built a business around that as being the VSL and the concept behind why you're even doing it. And what's really great about that is you think about, you just keep training it and training it and training it and training it. And this isn't like you have to be a developer to train it. You're just giving it words. You're saying, I want you to act like this, and I want you to know this information. And it says, got it. And then you do it again. And you say, actually, don't look at this anymore. Look at this. And it says, okay. And then you keep doing it. Like, training it doesn't mean you have to be an expert. It means you're just telling it what you want for your preferences. And then you just,
all right, everybody, we got it. We got to bounce. We're at the top of the hour here. Thank you so much, Jim, for being here. I really appreciate it. Thanks.
You're welcome, man.
To everybody for showing up live here. It's what makes this fun to do with you guys. And we'll see you all next week for another one of these. Jim, it's a pleasure. We'll definitely be in touch. Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Absolutely. Enjoy your 7 minutes with Gary Vee later today, buddy.
Thank you.
See you guys soon.